From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, federal government says corruption in the education sector has become endemic. Peace is most important, Wike says after meeting with PDP BOT. 12 killed as bandits attack Taraba community. And on the foreign scene, Democratic Republic of Congo appoints new army chief as part of military reforms. Hello and welcome to News Hour. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. We begin with education, where President Muhammadu Buhari said corruption in the education sector continues to undermine investments and is urging a more comprehensive reevaluation of expenditure. He expressed regret that critics continue to downplay graft, hinting that unions were complicit in the regime of corruption that pervaded the education sector. The president spoke on Tuesday at State House Abuja when he declared open the 4th National Summit on Diminishing Corruption in the Public Sector. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, toed the line of the president, stressing that the education sector had become an enabler of corruption, which had in turn eroded societal values and resources.
Sexual harassment has assumed an alarming proportion. Other forms of corruption include payroll padding or ghost workers, lecturers taking a full-time appointment in more than one academic institution, including private institutions, lecturers writing seminar papers, projects, and dissertations for students for a fee, and admission racketeering, to mention only the most glaring corrupt practices.
Education is supposed to be a panacea to corruption, but alas, it is apparent that students, teachers, administrators, and government agencies responsible for education have somewhat become permeable to corruption, and corrupt practices has become endemic within the.
Dr. Bibi Farouk, a lecturer at University of Abuja and an ASU member, reacted to the indictment of ASU by the president.
I'll just say it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that at the last stages of the hope that this president could have an understanding of what education stands for, he carries it to the dogma he used to probably bamboozle people into power. That is the word corruption. I appreciate the fact that he was making the statement in a forum that was meant to discuss corruption. But I'm really surprised that nobody in that forum could tell the president that nepotism is corruption. That using government funds and being unable to deliver is corruption. Wastefulness of government resources, especially borrowed funds, is corruption. We wait for government and the president to explain to us how seeking for our rights, how government that is owing us money, that is called earned allowances, that are product of agreements signed by government, will turn around to be corruption because the government feels it will refuse to pay. Maybe someone can judge who is who. But it's really unfortunate, and I really am disappointed. Personally, I'm not speaking for us, but as a personal resident of Nigeria, citizen of Nigeria, I think it's quite disappointing to be faced with the fact that the government is sticking to its position that a public authority, a government running a public university does not have public funds for public education. Public funds, not private funds, not personal funds for public education. It's sad because I think there is no understanding at all of what really is education. And of course, people who don't understand something cannot give something. You can't give what you don't have. The government is not negotiating or interested, I think, from my point of view, like I say, I'm not asked. It's not interested in seeing that there is a resolution to an impasse that it has created for the last 20 years in this country on education. I think what this government and the characters in the government believe they can do is to feel bravado when they destroy the public university system. And maybe by the time they retire, they will be carrying it as a badge to collect national awards, that they are responsible for the destruction of the public university system. And who knows, Nigerian public may clap for them, including parents, because the ignorance about understanding what university education is permeates so many sectors. It's a pity. I'm sorry.
Meanwhile, Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila and a delegation of lawmakers met on Tuesday with President Muhammadu Buhari. He says President Buhari is studying the recommendations from negotiations between the House of Representatives and the Academic Staff Union of Universities.
Usually had a very good listening ear, and he took the report of the House, he accepted it, we discussed it at length, the details of the report, and he wanted to go through them himself, and he will get back to us. We have another meeting on Thursday between our good selves and Mr. President for his final decision. Absolutely very hopeful. We had a good engagement. Very positive response. He asked us a couple of questions in some gray areas, which we clarified, and he accepted the report, and he wanted a couple of days to go through it.
Still on education, despite announcement for the commencement of academic activities in Nasarawa State University, KEFI, by the management, the institution's branch of the ASU insists that none of its members will comply with the directive. The union made this known after a closed-door meeting between the National Executive Council of ASU and members of the union in KEFI. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
The management of Nasarawa State University KEFI had announced that students should resume for the commencement of academic activities on the 28th of last month. The announcement triggered reactions from lecturers and students. While the students, through the student union government, promised to heed management's announcement, the ASU branch of the university said it remained answerable to the directives of the national body of the union, which had not asked them to resume. National President Emmanuel Osodeki, who addressed ASU members of Nsuk during the closed-door meeting, did not speak to journalists. However, one of the National ESCOM members who spoke on condition of anonymity said it is not unconnected to a decision that might be taken sometime within the week. When journalists insisted to know the outcome of the closed-door meeting, ASU chapter of Nsuk, Samuel Alu, explained the resolution of the meeting.
We wrote to the national body of our union concerning the resolution taken in the last Congress. And that informed the reason why he came here to clarify. Because to him, the resolution we took is not part and parcel of the principles of the union. And as such, he came here to clarify that, which he has done. And I can assure you there was a resounding unanimous decision that the strike should continue. And our resolution of the last Congress was jettisoned.
On possible sanction of lecturers who refused to resume work by the management, the Nsuk chairman of ASU said such action will amount to contempt of court.
This issue of reopening the university or forcing lecturers to go back to class is already a national issue. You recall that the federal government dragged ASU to court, the industrial court, and an interlocutory injunction was passed, and ASU appealed that particular injunction and also applied for stay of execution of order. And so it is binding on all ASU members. If Nasarawa State University administration decide to do otherwise, I think, in my own little understanding, that will amount to court contempt. And that will, the management will have the law to contend with. It's not the union's business.
The Nsuk chairman of ASU expressed confidence that none of the ASU members will sign the attendance register for coming to work.
The federal government has officially registered Congress of Nigerian University Academics, CONUA, a breakaway faction of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, as a trade union in the country. A source hinted that the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, will present a certificate of registration to the new union before end of business on Tuesday. The official explained that the move by the government is part of processes to deregister ASU with a view to checkmating its incessant strikes that have grounded public universities in the last 7 months. Daily Trust had reported that the government in September threatened to withdraw registration of ASU as a trade union over its alleged failure to submit its audited reports as required by law in the past 5 years. The Registrar of Trade Unions reportedly wrote a query to the union on why its certificate of registration should not be withdrawn for running foul of the law. In politics, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike on Tuesday appeared to soften his tone amid the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party. Speaking after meeting with members of the party's Board of Trustees at the Government House in Port Harcourt, Wike said he is committed to achieving peace within the PDP. Acting chairman of the BOT, Adolphus Wabara, also hinted that progress has been made during the talks. Wike and his allies had on September 20 announced their withdrawal from the Presidential Campaign Council of Atiku Abubakar.
We've been rubbing minds for the past 4 hours with His Excellency, the performing Governor of Rivers State, Mr. Project. And I think that this meeting took about 4 hours. We have not concluded. It's always easy to destroy, but to make peace takes some time. But I think we are at it. We are better informed. We've gotten some information. Every coin has two sides. Right? So we have been briefed by His Excellency. And so we will go back to Abuja. We'll be going back to Abuja to really digest all that we gathered from His Excellency. And very frank talks. But one good thing is that this family still remains one.
But, like the acting chairman Board of Trustees has said, peace. What's important for you to have unity, even if it takes you longer days. Yeah. What is important is that the House is united for a war that's coming in front. So the issue of whether they achieve peace today or not is immaterial. What's material? At the end of the day, the PDP is united House. I think that is the message it's conveying. And we have said repeatedly that we are not leaving the party. We have said so. But that does not mean that there are no internal issues that ought to be sorted out. I think what they are here for is to see how they can sort out some internal issues. I think that point has been made. Well, once you are alive, why will you not be hopeful? It's only a dead person that is not hopeful. So being alive is ultimately that you are hopeful. Thank you.
Former governorship aspirant of the People's Democratic Party in Gombe State, Jamilu Gwamna, said the only solution to the crisis in the party at the national and state levels is inclusivity. The PDP stalwart, who spoke in an interview with newsmen in Gombe, said he's optimistic that the reconciliation efforts initiated by the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar to reconcile aggrieved members of the party will yield fruitful results. Ibrahim Ismail tells us more.
Concerned about the current crisis in the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Dr. Jamilu Ishaku Gwamna, a stalwart and former governorship candidate of the PDP, advised all members to facilitate genuine reconciliation. He said having divisions in both state and federal government levels will not help the party, but further complicate issues posing threat to its unity and victory.
Well, you see, the answer to all these things is genuine reconciliation. If any party, whether PDP or APC or anybody, any party, if they want to win an election, they must go as a united front. They should not allow all these divisive issues to scuttle the, as we see, the imminent victory of PDP in Nigeria or in Gombe State or wherever. But that depends on genuine reconciliation. So, and that, puts a lot of responsibilities, especially those that have emerged as candidates of the party, to reach out to people, that are aggrieved, as our president, presidential candidate is doing. He's still going, reaching out to people, the Wike camp, on this. He has not given up, and I believe he's not going to give up. So if you come back to Gombe State, if there's going to be a genuine reconciliation of people, that, to be brought on board.
When asked about the chances of the PDP in Gombe State in the 2023 elections amid grievances at national and state levels, Dr. Jamilu said the recent visit by the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar indicated that Gombe is for PDP.
And this is, as I said, this is democracy. You cannot take away that right of people to choose whoever they want to choose. But the majority, the voice of the majority in Gombe State is for Atiku Abubakar.
The People's Democratic Party had been in turmoil since the emergence of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as its presidential candidate for the 2023 general elections, a situation that created tension between the PDP presidential candidate's camp and that of Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Political campaigns ahead of the February 2023 general elections officially began on Wednesday, 28 September. With the commencement of campaigns, politicians across party lines have already given an indication of what to expect during the period via their utterances from the onset. The increasingly toxic language being employed by various camps in the few days since campaigns started remains an issue that has been attributed to the decline in societal values. Our correspondent examines what is responsible for the decline in societal values and the legal implications of campaign language, especially on social media. The report.
As preparations for the 2023 general elections gather momentum with campaigns officially on, one thing that has characterized a few days of campaign period has been the very unsavory and not too decent language by political actors. This is because campaigners seem determined to rain abuses, name call, trade damaging allegations, and release controversial video and audio messages, especially in social media, that are nothing but disturbing to the barest of decency.
The advent and lack of any leverage on what to print or what to say over the net has contributed to the misbehavior, so to say, of our youths who can say anything against anybody unchecked. And secondly, the zeal of the politicians, more especially the presidential candidates. They are so tense, they are so desperate, they are so demanding. They want to get the chair, be it that of president or governor, so at all costs.
Though there is a freedom of expression in Nigeria as enshrined in the Constitution, many are curious to know if there are legal implications and the language being used, especially on social media, during campaigns.
Yes, so generally under our laws, the Constitution provides for the freedom of speech, but this freedom of speech also has its limitations. So where it's hate speech, it's now against the Constitution. or where an individual or a candidate is brought to disrepute by words or writings made by anybody or any organization, it's against the letters and spirits of the Constitution. And then such individual that is being brought to disrepute has a right to ask that such statements be withdrawn. He also has a right to also request that those also making those statements against him tender apology. And where they do not, even before the court, a matter can be filed under libel or slander.
INEC has warned that abusive, slanderous or base language or innuendos designed or likely to provoke violent reactions or emotions should not be employed or used in political campaigns. But is this enough to address the situation? Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Still talking politics, ahead of the 2023 election, the Independent National Electoral Commission has displayed the names of 14 candidates qualified to contest the governorship election in Kaduna State. The names of the candidates displayed include the APC candidate Senator Obasani, Isa Ashiru Kudan, candidate of the PDP, Jonathan Awake of the Labour Party, Lawal Hayatu of the PRP, and NNPP's candidate Suleiman Hunkui. Speaking to one of the INEC officials off camera, said no complaint was received so far from political parties or candidates concerning the names displayed at the INEC headquarters in Kaduna. Candidates of 16 political parties will contest with the incumbent Babajide Sanwo-Olu for the governorship election in Lagos State, as contained in the list published by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The list pasted at the notice board of the commission in Lagos along Burrell Yaba also included Gbadebo Rhodes as the Labour Party governorship candidate. The controversy had initially dodged his emergence as the governorship candidate of the state as the suspended chairman of the party, Ifagbemi Awamaridi. The incumbent governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, contesting with first school leaving certificate, BSc and MBA, while his running mate is Obafemi Hamzat. The People's Democratic Party has Adediran Aziz Olajide as candidate with Akindele Ayotunde Olufunke as running mate. The Police Service Commission on Tuesday dismissed 7 senior police officers over gross misconduct. The commission also approved the reduction in rank of 10 other officers. The decisions were taken after the continuation of the 15th plenary meeting of the Commission. The meeting, presided over by the acting chairman, Justice Clara Ogumbi, considered all the pending disciplinary matters, which totaled 47 before the Commission, and also treated some appeals from dismissed police officers. Justice Ogumbi, according to the spokesman of the Commission, Ikechukwu Ani, called on police officers to ensure they operate within established rules and avoid taking laws into their hands. Moving on to security, gunmen suspected to be bandits have killed at least 12 persons in Bali local government area of Taraba State. The attackers, who disguised as local vigilante group members, stormed Dogonrua village in Bali. Pretending to have arrived to arrest suspects, they opened fire, shooting sporadically, and killed 12 persons. Confirming the incident to journalists in Jalingo, the state capital, the Taraba Police Public Relations Officer Abdullahi Usman said over 50 persons have fled the community. However, 4 suspects have been arrested in connection to the incident and are currently under strict investigation. He also disclosed that animals were rustled from the community. The remains of the victims have been conveyed on motorcycles to Bali town for Islamic burial. It was gathered that in recent times, some locals go from house to house in search of bandits' informants and in the process kill them to avert further banditry attacks. Boko Haram terrorists have killed at least 3 persons in a fresh attack on Njilang community, Chibok local government area of Borno State. A source who confirmed the incident on Tuesday said the insurgents struck at the recently reopened Maiduguri-Damboa Road in the early hours of today. In the process, several houses were set ablaze, with many other residents of the area sustaining different degrees of injuries. On a sad note, 9 members of the same family have reportedly died under mysterious circumstances in Nagazi, Adavi local government area of Kogi State. They include 5 children of the same parents and 4 others. It was gathered that the incident, which happened on Monday evening, saw 5 family members dying at a spot before 4 others were rushed to the hospital. Sources told our correspondent that the remaining 4 later died at an undisclosed hospital in the area. A family source who craved anonymity said the father of the deceased victims have been arrested while the mother is still receiving treatment at an undisclosed hospital. All efforts to speak with the Kogi State Police Public Relations Officer, William Aya, proved abortive as of the time of filing this report. A Kano High Court sitting at Mila Road has adjourned the hearing of Chinese national Geng Huangran, accused of killing his Nigerian girlfriend Kulsum Sani Buhari over absence of an interpreter. At the resumed hearing, Defense Counsel Muhammad Azami moved the motion that the sitting cannot proceed as the accused person needs to be communicated to in the language he understands. Speaking shortly, Kano State Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice Lawang Abdullahi Musa said the case would not be heard as the accused person has the constitutional right to be communicated to in the language he understands. The case has now been adjourned to October 27. The deceased and accused were said to have been dating before the relationship turned sour. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, why Ekbomo should not be banned. Do stay with us.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. We told you that federal government says corruption in the education sector has become endemic. You also heard that peace is most important, Wike says after meeting with PDP BOT. Moving to other news, an inmate of the Ikoyi Correctional Center, Lagos, yesterday said that about 150 inmates were massacred inside the correctional center in the aftermath of the 2020 EndSARS protest. The witness, an online clothes vendor who was remanded in custody at the center for attempted sexual harassment, testified on Tuesday before the coroner magistrate A.O. Komolafe, sitting at Magistrate Court 3, Surulere. The inmate had finished his jail term and became a free man 8 months after the massacre. While serving term at Ikoyi Correctional Center, the witness was teaching at the educational unit for Muharram Sisters, an NGO. He taught English to the inmates. The witness mentioned Promise Nugwe from cell B2, Raphael Olushola D8, and Ifeanyi D7 as inmates that were among those killed that he can remember. The council, president of African Women Lawyers Association, Amanda Demechi Asagba, represented Raphael Olushola, deceased, an inmate, and other inmates. The case is adjourned to 19th and 20th December 2022. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo says deployment of intelligence, surveillance and technology will address the security challenges in the country. He said this as a special guest of honor at 32 convocation ceremony of the Nigerian Defense Academy in honor of the graduating cadets of the 69 regular course and postgraduate students. The report.
Delivering his address, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, said the proliferation of digital channels raised concern about the data privacy and security that needs to be addressed in order to save the economy. Earlier, Commandant of the Nigerian Defense Academy, Major General Ibrahim Yusuf, says the Academy provides the intellectual platform for overcoming security challenges.
The Nigerian Defense Academy provides the intellectual and professional platform for the search of a grand strategy to overcome the multifarious security threats and challenge us as a people. The curricula developed to provide unique experience to our cadets and students are aimed at producing intelligent and innovative officers prepared to defend the sovereign integrity of Nigeria.
Degrees, postgraduate diplomas, master's and doctorate degrees were awarded to the cadets and students and other deserving Nigerians by Defense Minister Bashir Magashi. Some graduating cadets were also honored for their outstanding academic performance. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
President Muhammadu Buhari will on Friday present the 2023 budget proposals to the joint session of the National Assembly. This is in line with the desire of the present administration to establish a January-December budget cycle. The report.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, announced the date at the commencement of Tuesday's plenary when he read a letter from President Buhari. The budget presentation session will hold at the temporary chamber of the House of Representatives as a result of the ongoing renovation of the permanent chambers of the National Assembly. The Senate President said already arrangements have been concluded for the venue to accommodate all lawmakers, the President and his delegation.
Dear Distinguished Senate President, presentation of 2023 appropriation bill, may I crave the kind indulgence of the December Senate to grant me the slot of 10 hours on Friday, that's 10 a.m. on Friday, 7th October 2022, to formally present the 2023 appropriation bill to the joint session of the National Assembly. Please accept, Mr. Senate President, the assurances of my highest regards as I look forward to addressing the joint session. Yours sincerely, Muhammad Buhari. Distinguished colleagues, the event will take place at the temporary chamber of the House of Representatives, and arrangements will be made to accommodate all of us, including the President and the delegation from the executive.
Early presentation of the appropriation bill is to enable lawmakers scrutinize and pass the budget for implementation by the executive arm of government in the new fiscal year.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, said Nigeria needs leaders with capacity and character to lead at this time of history. Gbajabiamila said this during the official inauguration of the Legislative Mentorship Initiative program in Abuja on Monday. The report.
This initiative could not have come at a better time than this, when the country desperately needs leaders who can redirect the nation on the path of peace, unity, and above all, development. The Speaker of the House was also the founder of the initiative. While inaugurating the body, said the country desperately needs leaders with the capacity and character to manage it. He stated that one of the reasons for the initiative is the need to mold leaders with the capacity to make quality decisions in politics and governance.
Whatever happens, Nigeria desperately needs leaders with the capacity and character to manage change. The consequences of the changes happening in our world today will depend on how we respond, the decisions we make, and the ideas we choose to invest in.
In his goodwill message, the Director General of Nigerian Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, Abubakar Suleiman, said the importance of the initiative is to expose young Nigerian men and women to the fundamentals of legislative practice and procedure, which will ultimately stimulate their zeal for public service, especially in the legislature.
For this important initiative to expose young Nigerians, men and women, to the fundamentals of legislative practice and procedure, involve them in governance process, and stimulate their zeal for public service, especially in the legislature.
It has been 62 years of growth and progress in our journey of nation building. There have been challenges along the way, but the resilient Nigerian spirit keeps us going. And in this room, our hope for a better future is embodied in the amazing young people who have stood up to be counted as potential leaders for a better Nigeria.
So I feel like this is like an opportunity for me to expose myself to the act of legislature and, of course, to know some of the metrics of the legislative arm.
This program is well designed for me because I contested for House of Assembly in Zamfara. For the just concluded primary election, this 2022, I contested, but I could not secure a ticket.
With the theme, building the next generation of Nigeria's public sector leaders, it is expected that the participants will put to use what they have learned towards the development of the nation.
Residents of Lagos have expressed mixed reactions on the plan by the federal government to ban the consumption of pomo in Nigeria. A cross-section of Lagos residents who spoke with Trust TV in Lagos say pomo remains a popular protein for average Nigerians. Yvonne Uguazoha reports that many residents are asking the government to provide alternatives if they're serious about the ban.
No increment at all. We are just only managing with what they give to us. Formerly, we buy some food stuff like 100 naira. Now we bought it like 150, 200.
The exchange rate now in the normal banks is about 415, where 330 to 415. But when you earn in dollars and you go to the black market, you can convert that for $1 for about 725. So imagine you're earning about $200 for those doing a menial work. 200 times 725, that's roughly over 140,000 plus.
What I want to say about that common is that they are trying to protect our health because they need a very good health for Nigerians. Though the money may be too small, but let's take our money to buy whatever we cater for our health.
Common for water thieves has more economic value in the country beyond what we can think or imagine. Now, banning pomo is going to do more harm than good.
Some people, what they can afford is only pomo, and to ban it, I don't think there is no nutrient in pomo. So that's all they can afford. So that is like one of the smallest things you can eat. They should just leave it.
In the long run, rather than banning it, let them actually look out for the long-term consequence of their present action. And I think that will actually help us to form better policies. Yes.
It affects, yes, because you have to buy half of what you're buying before. You have to buy half or quarter.
Well, we have no choice. They told us that it is what they buy is increasing. So anything they give to us, we have to take it like that.
An agri-tech expert and fresh farm produce merchant, Yakubu Bubayaro, has advocated the use of modern agricultural technology as a panacea to eventual post-harvest loss recorded by farmers of perishable farm produce across the country. Bubayaro said this in an exclusive interview with Trust TV in Zaria. He said the traditional way of preservation, transportation and marketing of fresh farm produce needs to be given a modern boost to fit into the global trend of commercialization.
To the farmers is that they should exercise patience. We are working hard to see how we can maximize, increase the number of the plastic bags we have in Nigeria. And my also calling to also the government is to try to see how they can come in, how they can support this sector, because in the estimates we found out that we lost about 50% of tomatoes in Nigeria due to poor packaging and handling of this fresh produce. So before government or any organizations talk about storage, they need to talk about the proper way of packaging, proper way of handling those tomatoes before they start talking about storage. Because this plastic crate can extend the shelf life of tomatoes into 2 weeks.
Social media and other internet-based platforms are intertwined with political life. They play an important role in allowing people to design, share political news and views, as well as seek political information and discuss. However, in recent times, anxieties have been created about the capacity of these mediums to protect citizens from disinformation and to serve as balanced and open public fora for honest debate. With the 2023 electioneering campaigns in full gear, Noel Sampson spoke with stakeholders on the impact of social media in politics and other businesses. The report.
The advancement of technology and us to connect with other people from different places brought about the churning out of different social media applications. However, these applications are left with different innovation use, especially in the area of politics.
The social media is an interactive platform for people to interact socially within the public space. So, and to that extent, I think like every platform is available for campaigns, the social media is also available for campaigns. So the structure of the social media is such that it connects people.
Business owners had nothing but positive remarks on the effect of social media on their businesses.
Social media does not affect my business, it really helps my business. Because I even thank God for the welcome development of social media because it helps us to advertise our business the way it's supposed to be. So, there's this time around, it's not possible for you to go and meet someone for us or something like that. People see you through social media and they chat on you and request and give you a job and you do it.
Social media makes things easy it creates more information to people to know about the product we are selling. Like for example now, in social media, if I like updated my profile picture, post exactly what I'm doing, so it influences people to easily see it, that this is exactly what I'm doing. Social media has made a lot of things very easy for people, like even people around the world, to see what you are doing so that they can get in touch and interact with you.
While social media has its positive side, it could also turn the other way when internet-based platforms are abused, especially in the areas of fake news or cyberbullying.
Vice versa, it varies because one, it depends on how you are using it. Because normally, where it's not healthy is where foul language are being used, abusive words are being used. That is where it's not healthy, which I am not also encouraging. I'm not encouraging any youth to use foul language on social media or use abusive words on social media.
We can use the social media to insist on issue-based campaigns. We can use the social media to interrogate some of the claims by candidates. I have done this. You check. I can do this. Check the person's capacity.
Social media has transformed politics. It is the sheer spread at which news, polls, results, and rumors are shared. Whereas in the pre-internet days, people had to wait for the next newspaper or TV, reading news to get the latest information. However, people have been cautioned to be mindful of the authenticity of the news they get on social media. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. Moving on to more stories. Nigeria has been re-elected as a council member of the International Telecommunication Union by the United Nations specialized agency that oversees global telecommunication operations. The election of Nigeria and other countries on Monday into different regional groups that constitute the ITU Council was the high point of the Plenipotentiary Conference 2022 ongoing in Bucharest, the capital city of the Republic of Romania. In a statement, the Director of Public Affairs, Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, Ruben Moka, said the ITU had re-elected Nigeria based on clear recognition of the critical role that the country is playing on the global telecom stage, adding that Nigeria will serve on the Council again from 2023 to 2026. In keeping up with transparency and accountability, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited has disclosed its 2021 audited financial statement. The group managing director, Mele Kyari, while briefing pressmen on Tuesday in Abuja, spoke on the performance of policies implemented. Chamun Dabeng reports.
The oil sector has continued to witness a series of pipeline vandalisms and theft. However, despite oil bunkering, the NNPC was able to record a 134.8% year-on-year profit growth.
Today, I'm happy to announce that the board of the NNPC Limited has approved the 2021 audited financial statements, and NNPC has progressed to a new performance level from 287 billion naira profit in 2020 to a 674 billion naira profit after tax in year 2021, climbing higher by 134.8% profit growth compared to year 2020.
GMD also addressed issues around vandalism and clarified misconceptions on crude oil losses.
Our production without any intervention peaked at 2.49 million barrels per day. That means we have capacity without doing anything extra to produce up to 2.49 million barrels per day. But since COVID got abated and of course the issues around the acts of vandals returned, we saw this gradual decline in our production up to the point of this situation that we found ourselves of 1.23 million barrels per day currently. That means that you can easily produce up to 2.9, but you couldn't do it because of the acts of vandals. Now, it doesn't mean that the difference between 2.9 and 2.13 is stolen. No, it's far from this. As we speak now, all our major trunk lines are shut down. That means you are not flowing crude oil into this line. You could have done it. It doesn't mean the product crude is stolen. When the lines are running, you can lose substantial part of that volume. And we believe that at least when they are running, you can lose up to 200,000 barrels to theft. But in actual losses today, our budget level plan is to produce at 1.8 million barrels per day. If you are doing 1.2, it means technically you are losing the difference between 1.23 and 1.8, which is around 600,000 barrels per day. It's opportunity loss, not stolen.
NNPC is looking to create more value for its shareholders, being the Nigerian citizens. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Let's join Chamun Dabeng for more business news.
Delegates predict that when the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC+, meet on Wednesday, oil production will be reduced by more than 1 million barrels per day. The producer group is worried that the global economy is slowing down in the face of quickly tightening monetary policies, and this may be reflected in a larger than expected drop. The delegates stated that a final choice won't be made until after the oil ministers gather in OPEC's Vienna headquarters. A cut of 1 million barrels per day would be the biggest since the start of the COVID pandemic. However, massive cuts run the risk of adding yet another shock to a world economy already struggling with energy-related inflation. The federal government has disclosed that the management of Nigeria Air Limited has become aware of several job postings and announcements made by dishonest individuals posing as representatives or employees of the incoming airline. In a statement on Tuesday, the Special Assistant for Public Affairs to the Minister of Aviation, James Odaudu, said that the so-called agents had set up a number of false websites and links that were designed to be used by unwary members of the public to submit applications. He warned citizens to disregard such announcements or invitations because doing so would be at their own peril. The 19.76 trillion naira proposed budget for the 2023 fiscal year will be presented and laid before the two chambers of the National Assembly on Friday, October 7th. This information was provided in a letter from President Muhammadu Buhari, which the Senate's President Ahmad Lawan and the House's Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila both read during Tuesday's resumed session. Gbajabiamila stated in his remarks after reading the letter that the decision to present the budget on Friday came following a meeting last Friday between MPs and the Minister of Finance with a view to an early presentation. In contrast to early worries that there might not be enough room to accommodate the session due to the ongoing renovations, Lawan announced the President would attend in person to address the joint session of the National Assembly. The amount allocated in the 2022 budget has increased by 15.37% to 19.76 trillion naira, which is how much the federal government intends to spend in 2023. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabeng.
Thank you, Chairman, for that report. Now, moving on away from Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo's president, Felix Tshisekedi, has replaced the head of the country's armed forces as part of broader military reforms aimed at boosting efficiency. In a statement from the presidency on Monday, Christian Chiwewe Songesha, former commander of the Republican Guard, an elite unit in charge of protecting the head of state, was named as the new Army Chief of Staff, replacing Celestin Mbala Musense. The new Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of operations, Jerome Chiko Shitambwe, comes from the same unit. The wave of appointments in DRC's army is part of a broader framework of military reform, Kusema told writers. Now let's join Adeni Ajishafe for sports news.
Super Eagles goalkeeper, trainer, and former Nigeria international Ike Sholomo has assured of improved performances from the goalkeeping department in the days ahead. Ike promised that the blunders noticed among the current goalkeeper will soon end, saying the coaches are working hard to steady the department. Reacting to the errors made by Francis Uzoho and Maduka Okoye in the recent international friendly against Algeria, Sholomo said though the mistakes are costly, it is not enough to write off the entire department. The coaching crew, he said, is engaged in underground work at the moment, adding that when it manifests, Nigeria will be proud of not just the goalkeepers, but the entire team. The ex-international said the coaching crew has beamed their searchlight on the domestic league for quality goalkeepers in order to invite some MPFL goalkeepers for screening, as they believe the new NFF board will help the coaching crew with positive guidelines to follow in revamping the team. And still on football, 3 Nigerian women football stars will face off in the group stage of 2022-2023 UEFA Women's Champions League, as a draw ceremony on Monday pit the 3 remaining Nigerian players left in the tournament in the same group. 2020-2021 UEFA Women's Champions League winners and Spanish Women's League champions FC Barcelona and 5-time African Women Player of the Year Asisat Oshoala will face 2 other Nigerians in Group D. The Spanish champions will face the German giants FC Bayern Munich, Halimat Ayinde Swedish Queens, FC Rosengard, and Crystal Chebe's Portuguese champion SL Benfica. Asisat Oshoala and FC Barcelona Femeni reached the final of 2021-2022 UEFA Women's Champions League, losing to Lyon. Halimat Ayinde, who recently joined Rosengard from Swedish side Eskilstuna United, will seek to help the Swedish champions better their last season's feat by reaching group stage of this season. Crystal Chebe and SL Benfica are making consecutive group stage appearances in the UEFA Women's Champions League after getting to the same stage last season. Monday's draw means at least a club of any of the 3 Super Falcons of Nigeria players will make it to the quarterfinal and be in pole position to win the title. Asisat Oshoala remains the only Nigerian and African player to win the UEFA Women's Champions League, which she achieved with FC Barcelona 2 seasons ago. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
All right, with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.